Coon Johnny peeps, and welcome to my study. It's Wednesday evening. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and wonderful week. What an interesting week it has been in my life. First of all, I'd like to start by saying thank you for watching episode 1 and 2 and for all the support that we've received regarding our Mozambique in Century City. And the questions and the support and the amount of people that sent messages and emails and guys, the information that's coming through at the moment is absolutely insane. As I'm making this video, there's a message that came through on one of the social platforms from somebody saying we are waiting for episode 3. So sorry for taking a day longer. I had to work on all the information that was provided to us and sent through. You see, guys, there's a whole movement seems to be in South Africa, well, worldwide at the moment, that people are fighting injustice and people are not happy about injustices taking place. And the word that comes to mind is whistleblowers. And it's an interesting thing, but at some stage somebody has to stand up and say no more. We're not taking injustice, we're not taking the wrongdoings, we're not taking people's way of interpreting law and interpreting things in their own way. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And guys, I think in starting off with this episode, I would like to just say that, you know, I read a thing about whistleblowing, and it said that if you are aware of injustices or wrongdoings going on and you don't report it to authorities, to powers that be, wherever, dan is jy net so skuldig soos die ouere doen. And that's an age-old thing, you know, it's an age-old saying of die dealer is so goed soos die stealer. And what it means is if you keep information to yourself and you know it's wrong, you are just as guilty. Okay, that being said, I think we need to address our Mozambique Blouberg situation and just give you a bit of background on that store and the sort of money we're talking about, the sort of investment and expectation from a franchisor or franchisee perspective. So, short summary, I came into ownership of this site in Blouberg as a Moyo franchise back in 2018. And defranchised from Moyo in 2020. And guys, the one thing that we do need to understand now, and it's become a bit more known this week, is that what we're talking about is not limited only to Mozambique. And that is the sad reality that we're dealing with currently. Mozambique, I'm dealing with them, and that's why I'm talking about them. But the amount of information that I've received on other franchise groups in the restaurant industry, boys, you should be ashamed of yourselves. And in saying this, I'm talking in general to franchisors out there. You should be ashamed of yourselves. There's obviously certain groups that do things right, but there is quite a few of them that don't do it right. And we're talking about recycling of stores. We're talking about franchisees being intimidated. We're talking about abuse of power from franchisor to franchisee. We're talking about landlord collusions with franchisors. Guys, it's real. And unfortunately, the sort of money that we're talking about is substantial. And you'll come to know about this now when we discuss Mozambique Blouberg, which is evidently opening in the next couple of days, I believe. Just a side note, Miss Social Media for Mozambique. I'm not going to mention your name just out of a bit of respect there, but blocking me on a Facebook page or a social media page is not going to stop me from knowing what you guys are up to, and it's not going to stop the public from asking the same questions. So you can block me on all the pages you like. The long and short of it is I'm going to keep on talking. Whether I can tag you or not, there's other people that will do this for me. Okay, so let's put that to bed. So let's start off, guys, with Mozambique Blouberg. Cost-wise, to build a store the size of that store, we are looking at about close to 900 square meters. Like we said in the math the other day, is that we can pay anything between 12 and 15,000 rand per square meter. It's probably some of the stores. I know some brands are a bit more expensive. There are the likes that go up to 20, 22, 25,000 per square meter. So if we do the quick math and we go and just round it off and say it's 1,000 square meters at 15,000 rand, we are looking at a 15 million rand replacement value in that store, which was taken away from us through bad faith trading, and I'm going to call a spade a spade. And Eden on the Bay should be ashamed of yourselves as well, but we'll get to that. Okay. I'm also not going to stop talking about you guys, because the truth will remain the truth. So first of all, I would like to wish the new owner of Mozambique Blouberg, Mr. Brian Lowry, good luck, my friend. And if you think that the way that you dealt in this business was the right way of doing it, don't forget that when they don't like you, you can be replaced as well. Use it, don't use it. Whether you've got 2 stores, 3 stores, or 5 stores, or 1 in the same center, when they don't like you, they'll replace you like they did with me. So good luck, my friend. I think before I get too dug into this, I need to quickly just make mention of something. People have been calling for a boycott on Mozambique. I've seen quite a bit of interest in that. And guys, just to put it straight, I don't think that is the right way of approaching this. What we need to realize is that when we want to punish the wrongdoer, we cannot punish somebody else in the process. We need to understand that a franchise or franchisee relationship ends up, if you are a person that boycotts a store because of a franchisor, it's actually the franchisee that gets hurt by this. And he's not the one that's responsible for this. So my call to people will be not to boycott Mozambique, but rather to support it. And out of respect for my fellow franchisees, that's the call that I would like to make on people. If Mozambique was a brand that you supported, please keep on supporting your local store. There's a family behind that store. There's a mom and dad putting the kids through school. There's a little girl of 8 years old that's got a ballet class to attend to. School fees to be paid, and bonds and things like that, the day-to-days. And the guy that invested in the store is the actual one that's hurting at the moment, not the franchisor as much. So maybe from a suggestion point of view, throw out some comments there and let me know how you would approach this sort of thing. I don't know what we call it, but public participation, how something like that would work. And what your ideas are around it. Instead of boycotting franchisees, how do we get to the franchisor? That's my question for tonight. So let's get stuck into Mozambique Blouberg. Was a Moyo franchise, and I'm like I said, I call a spade a spade. We also had our disagreements, and it basically boiled down to, at one stage, I'm going to shorten the story really, really quick, is as a Moyo franchise, I get a call one day at my store, and I'm standing there and I'm answering the phone, and somebody says to me they're looking for a phone number for Moyo in Zoo Lake in Johannesburg. And I say, cool, let me give it to you, I've got it. And I give it to them. Same person phones me back 5 minutes later and says, oh, the number doesn't exist. Can I give them a number for Moyo at Melrose? And I go, sure, got that. Same person phones me back 5 minutes later and tells me that the phone doesn't exist. And I go, oh, that doesn't sound right. So let me phone our head office and find out. Because at that stage, I'm part of a franchise group. You need to understand that. I phone the head office and I request, what is going on? Why are the phones at Zoo Lake and at Melrose not working? Only to find out that I'm the last franchisee standing. All the other franchises disappeared, and and I'm the only one left. And they were quite upset with me that I was upset about that. Because it sort of doesn't make sense if you are the only franchisee in a group. Why would you do it? At that stage, we made a decision to defranchise from Moyo and convert our store to a Mozambique, which I thought was a better fit for the site in any case. So we get into a discussion with Mozambique and we make our plans. COVID happens and we are right in the middle of this. We made a decision to still invest the money and build our shop during the COVID months. So we were basically, when everybody was sitting at home, we were building store. And when the bans lifted in August 2020, we were able to open our store and start trading, albeit halves here and opens there and closes there. But we saw it through and we made it work. 2020 happened, 2021 happened, it was still COVID and we were still carrying on, still invested the money and still kept on going. 2022, we actually did a revamp in the store again. Yes, Mrs. Landlord, you never set your foot in the store to see that it was revamped. So please don't come and tell me stories about it. We, in actual fact, revamped the store in the 5-year period 3 times. Just as a matter of interest. Talking about revamps, that's actually something that Mozambique head office should be helping with. But when requesting them to help us with our revamps and drawing plans and getting things done, the answer back was, we are too busy opening new stores. Can you please handle that yourselves? The franchise fees I paid for, I had to handle things myself. Okay. Now I'm going to pull my calculator out again because I need to tell you a little bit about what sort of franchise fees we are talking about. I've got a new calculator. Let us look at franchise fees. I'm going to round the figures off so that you get a better idea. Let's say that we did a turnover of 20 million rand a year. Give and take a little bit more here and there, but let's call it 20 million a year just for argument's sake. At a rate of 5%. That is R1 million a year, guys, that we pay towards franchise fees. As I'm saying, it's actually a bit more, but R1 million a year paid in franchise fees over a 5-year period. 5 million rand. Not quite sure I got my value for my money there, but in any case, we discussed that in episode 2. So maybe go and, if you missed that, refer to, there's an email that I sent on the 7th of November 2024 to the guys explaining my feelings about this. R1 million a year, guys, gets contributed by one store to a franchise group. Now, if we go and think about this, the risk of this business sits solely on the franchisee. He's the person that invests the money, that builds the store, that opens the brand and uses the IP of the brand. The head office and the franchisor has got, in actual fact, 0 risk except for reputational risk. Now, in saying reputational risk, there's something that we have to also address, is that I had this question in the week where people said to me that they actually thought that I was the owner of this group. And how does this work now? Because Brett and I were so close and we own the group together. And my answer back to that was, to the person that mentioned it to me, I said, at some stage I got tired of explaining to people that I'm not the owner of the group. And in saying this, guys, when we talk about reputational damage and reputational work, Friedel, myself, our children lived this brand to the extent that people thought we owned it. Not just the store, but the actual brand. If you could get underwear in Mozambique print, I would have had them. And we've had this discussion at head office level as well, where I said to the guys that we actually live the brand. I think we were, if I have to put it out there, there's really some dedicated franchisees, but we were right on top of that. And that's not my opinion, that's people will be able to say that. So when we talk about reputation, we also have to talk about goodwill. We have to talk about how something gets established and how it gets built. So Mozambique Blouberg opened 2020. We ran the store. We marketed the store. We lived the store. That specific store sponsored school kits, sponsored community projects, sponsored Christmas tables for underprivileged families, sponsored. We lived the fibers of the brand in our area that we work in. Fast forward 2025, when a landlord in a negotiation of a lease renewal says to us, in no uncertain terms, that she will not renew our lease as a Mozambique because she doesn't see us investing that sort of money back into the brand, and she doesn't think it's going to work. So she would suggest that we don't do that. And this is where it gets really tricky. Upon asking the question why she said that, she reminded us and she said that she doesn't want anything to do with Mozambique because Brett Michelin and Richard Key keep on phoning her to find out if our rentals are up to date. To such an extent that she blocked Richard Key on her phone so that he couldn't get hold of her anymore. In her own words, she didn't share any information with them because our rental was up to date. And she had no reason not to renew our lease. So we go into lease renewals. We have a discussion, and in no uncertain terms she tells us that she will not renew our store as a Mozambique. Our first reaction to this was, okay, can we make the store smaller? Is there something that we can do in terms of that? Because we were actually looking at a reduced size store. The answer came back, no. So that was option 2. Option 3 was that she invited us to present a new concept to the center because that might give us the site. And we go, great. We spend time, effort, guys, to design a brand new concept in restauranteering. Takes time, takes money, takes effort, takes skill. Sleepless nights, that's what it takes. When you know that your franchise is not going to be renewed, but you've got a chance to do something else. So we present a new concept to her, only to get a message back to say, unfortunately, they cannot give us a new lease. The site has been leased out to somebody else. This was in May of 2025. So we realize, we're folk. We are in trouble now. In the same time, I go and see a landlord in Eden-on-the-Bay, and I speak to him, and I said to him, is there a possibility that we could move the Mozambique into his building? So we open up the discussion, we have a chat about it, we actually reached a rental agreement. And on the day that I was busy typing the email to Mozambique to explain to them that we've got a new site and we want to relocate the store, I get a cancellation of my franchise agreement at Century City. That was on the 2nd of June, with Mr. Richard Key taking over my business and thinking it's him and his wife. So